I'm Jess with Emotional Fire Academy, here today to talk about the HSP and anxiety, something many of us suffer from, myself a challenge, and I'm here to share some tips, philosophy, and insight today with you to kind of help you if anxiety is an issue for you as a highly sensitive person. Subscribe to my channel. I make new videos every week. Hit the bell to be notified of them. And who am I? I'm Jess. I'm your driver operator on this journey. I am an emotion coach. I help highly sensitive people up level in life, and I'm a former firefighter. So let's dive right in. I think anxiety is especially a problem for highly sensitive people because part of what made us highly sensitive was this needing or feeling that we needed to be hyper vigilant of things. And so our senses kind of became very acute. We were always on the lookout for, trouble in our environment. And so in adulthood, especially, worrying and anxiety is something I think that highly sensitive people especially suffer from. And so let's just do a brief overview of what anxiety is, essentially from kind of the NLP perspective. So on your timeline of your life, anxiety is an emotion that we feel that, is characterized by kind of excitement, butterflies, worry, that kind of impending, it's kind of a charged state, the feeling in your body. And so essentially it's worrying about the future because we don't ever have anxiety about things that happened in the past. Once they've happened. We can have regret about something that happened in the past, but generally anxiety is a forward-looking emotion, right? We're in the realm of imagination, essentially, because the only thing that is really present and tangible is now. The past and the future are the realm of our imagination, right? We can say that, past events were, in our minds, they're truthful, they're accurate, they happened to us, but really we recreate them with our imagination, and as time goes on, we forget more of the details. And it's the same as with the future. When we're thinking about what the future is bringing us, we're really in the realm of imagination. This is all within our own heads, and so we have control of this. So anxiety is a future-looking, a future forward-looking emotion that we have. We're obviously worried about something that's gonna occur in the future, and really, I think my understanding of anxiety is that we don't know what resources we're going to have to deal with whatever problem we're perceiving in the future. Because typically it is a problem we're anticipating in the future that we're going to have to deal with, or something that's going to happen to us. And so now is where we have our power. Now is where we have our resources, right? This little person has money, ideas, other people to help them out, books and resources. So we have all of our resources in the now. And so problems in the now, being anxious about fixing them or solving them is more of, okay, what resources do I have to deal with this? And so worrying about something, being anxious about a future event, we don't know what resources are going to be available to us in the future. We don't know what our mindset is going to be. We don't know what other people are going to do. We don't know what will be available to us financially, physically, emotionally, mentally, intellectually. So that leaves room for anxiety to blossom when we don't know what resources we have. So remember, when you're feeling anxious, it is in the realm of imagination, and it is and then we can get stuck in this loop of expecting the future to be like the past, right? If we're anxious about something happening again, maybe that we dealt with in the past, then we get into this vicious loop of, we worry about it, it essentially manifests, and then we get more in our future of what we had in our past, and we keep in these loops where everything feels the same and nothing ever changes. And so really recognizing that now is where we have our power, now is where we have our resources to deal with issues, to deal with problems, and that the future is the realm of our imagination and thus is under our control. We can go in there in our imagination and, give ourselves resources. So I highly suggest you check out my video on self-care versus damage control. I'll put the link above right now. And that video kind of reiterated some of this, but it was essentially, if you using your resources in the now, taking care of yourself now so that in the future you don't have to go into damage control. And anxiety can kind of play into this. And I talked about a concept in the video about self-care versus damage control about, changing your perspective on an emotion. If you're having this strong emotion, if you change your perspective, you often get a different point of view, and that will help you shift things. So you can obviously take a bigger view, you can zoom out, take a meta view, or take a micro view and zoom into the emotions. So some ideas, especially with anxiety, let's start with zooming in, taking a micro view. So we're feeling the anxiety, zoom into it, like go into the anxiety. I think part of the problem we have is that we resist it, right? It's an uncomfortable emotion. Worrying is uncomfortable. There's never any salve for it. And so when we can get into that worry, like literally locate it in our body and put our consciousness in that area and sit in it, you can ask, you can ask your body, like, what's going on right now? Like, what is this? Why am I anxious? And actually have a conversation with the anxiety. What are we feeling? And it's easy. Sometimes we might find that the anxiety is actually excitement, because excitement and anxiety are two very, very similar body feels, right? The butterflies, the kind of like nervous energy, that kind of like restlessness. But one is, positive anticipation, and the other is negative anticipation. So how we're framing what we're feeling this way about, the event that we're anticipating. And so, really taking a careful look, like, am I just excited or am I anxious? And realizing that we can, if we frame that feeling differently, be like, I'm really worried about this happening, but I'm really going to be excited if it turns out differently. Like realizing that those two emotions are very similar, and changing our frame, how we frame it is also changing what we're feeling then, and how we're interpreting what we're feeling, and thus eliminating the anxiety, or at least alchemizing it into excitement. And and just having a conversation with the anxiety, like, why am I feeling this way? Talk to it like you would talk to a person, and you might find that it will answer back to you, or you'll have ideas pop in your head that seem very intuitive and like, oh, I'm anxious about this happening, and then at least you can locate, but it does take courage. It takes courage to get in there and face the anxiety and have a conversation with it and resolve something. It's a very powerful technique. If you feel like you have the strength to do that, I do recommend that, and poke around and see, is this excitement? Am I actually worried? If we want to take a meta view, if we zoom back and we look at, okay, when was I anxious last? In the past, you think about the other times you were anxious, because our body, sometimes emotions are conditioned responses and to accomplish a goal. And so we have this emotion that comes up, we get our goal met, and then our mind will just go there automatically next time. So say every time I get anxious, my boyfriend reassures me and he gives me some attention and love. And so my body, when it needs attention and love, will suddenly get anxious. So it will suddenly start to worry. And so when we can recognize these like bigger, the meta view, the bigger patterns of why we're getting anxious all the time, we might recognize that, oh, I actually just need attention and love from my significant other, or for myself. And then we can develop a self-care ritual where we give ourselves to that preemptively, right? That's self-care, so that we're not then getting anxious and having to do damage control after the fact. So just some thoughts on this, that if this is making any sense, I hope it is. And remember, just like I've said about other emotions, whatever we practice becomes a habit for us. It's how we're conditioning ourselves to be on a permanent basis. If we continue to practice something, it's going to get easier and easier to do. So if you want to be a less anxious person, if you want to worry less as a highly sensitive person, here are some ideas, thoughts, questions that we can bring into our lives to get to that place of being calm and centered and confident. So remember, when you do get anxious, you are working in the realm of imagination, right? You're in the realm of imagination. You're in this future that hasn't happened yet, and anything can happen. Anything can happen. And so if you don't want to get stuck in these repetitive loops of the same thing happening, you're worried about it happening, and it does happen because it's happened in the past, and on and on and on. Opening your worldview up of, what are some of the scenarios that are equally likely of happening? This event could happen. What else could happen? What is a positive outcome that could happen equally likely in this situation. So there's a way to kind of combat it, open up your imaginative capabilities and loosen up that anxiety and be like, okay, I could also be excited because I could have this really positive outcome. And as far as that goes too, in the realm of imagination, you can also imagine what resources would be available to you. Or imagine a time you dealt successfully with this problem in the past, and what did you use? Even if you had failed at solving this problem in the past, what would you have done differently? And project that into the future. Be like, okay, last time I learned I can't talk to this person that way. I'm going to try a different strategy, right? Going in eases that anxiety because you're forecasting having a resource available to you that will help you with that problem. So it's like, okay, next time I'm going to do this, having this little plan in your head, even if it is imaginary, making multiple plans, A, B, C, D, E, that really reduces anxiety. Like, okay, if this happens, I'm going to do this first, and then this, and then this, and then this. Having this plan really reduces anxiety and worry. And so, let me get caught up here. So sitting with the anxiety, sitting in it, asking it questions, going deep within, getting a micro view, talking to the anxiety, seeing what's there. Maybe there's something else that's covering it up. Looking at your bigger patterns, meta view, taking, asking yourself, being curious about, like, why do I get anxious all the time? Oh, it's like Tuesday afternoons at 4:00. Oh, maybe I'm just actually hungry and my body is worked up. Or maybe it's just when I'm around this person or I get this project at work, it makes me really anxious. And, I can think about this in a different way. I can reframe it as excitement, or I can have something to eat. I can change that habit. I can literally change the habit by looking at the bigger picture habits of the anxiety. I also want to talk about, an idea for the concept of okayness. This is something that I have come across because I admit that I worry a lot about things happening. And it's almost like self-fulfilling because when I worry, and then they do happen, I look for evidence that they're going to happen, and then I find the evidence and they do happen, and then I feel vindicated, right? Oh, I knew this was coming. But in a bigger picture, spiritual sense, in kind of a manifestational, bigger picture sense, I like to call this the field of okayness. Like there is a field, there's like a vibration of that everything is okay. And I'm realizing that it's kind of like when you're definitely out of that field of okayness, like everything is normal, everything is okay, you feel like the odd person out because you look around, you're like, how do these people not realize I just broke up with my boyfriend? Or I just I just got out of the hospital, or something in my world shook me and I am not in the field of okayness. I think that's when we most realize that there is this field, this vibration of okayness. It's like calm and peace. Maybe it's not like, it's just like contentedness. And really, we can go there. We can choose to be there and inhabit that because that's where our power is. When we're insecure, we're worrying, we look to others outside of us to be in that field and reassure us that the field is there and that everything is okay. But really, this is something we self-generate, right? We choose to get into the field, the vibration of okayness. And in that, we then have our own power. It's kind of like with a firefighter. When you pull up to a scene and everyone is panicked, and you as a firefighter, once you're trained and you feel confident with your skills, you arrive in a feeling of okayness. Like everything is okay in your world. You're here to do a job. You're here to do something really extraordinary. You're not afraid. You are not concerned or worried about how this is going to turn out. You show up in this super confident, powerful mode, and you do what you are there to do. And that grounds the others around you, that puts them at ease. So that kind of power of being in that field of okayness, you can also do even if you're not a firefighter. Even if you're in a relationship and you're constantly looking for the other person to validate that everything is okay. I am horribly guilty of this. I'm always looking at him to be like, we're cool, right? Everything's good, right? But really, I should be standing in my own power of like, everything is okay. It is completely okay because I am making it okay. Because of where I am standing and then in my okayness, I can see the resources I have if it suddenly starts to not be okay. I can have, it's kind of like putting your faith in, like, I am okay right now in this field of okayness. So just a thought I thought I'd share and throw out there. It's a concept I've been working on right now. So I hope you enjoyed this video. Drop a comment below. Let me tell me what you think about the field of okayness, and if you notice yourself moving in and out of it, if you use this to bring more stability and to affect more outcomes. Because that kind of power, that kind of like, this is okay, I'm not flustered by this, that changes outcomes, right? That's kind of the essence of manifesting. And yeah, so we're going to talk more about all this stuff as we go along in this channel. If you are someone that suffers from chronic anxiety as a highly sensitive person, come check out my Flammable to Fireproof program. It's a 3-month journey where we take you from, these chronic emotions to standing in your own okayness, self-generating that kind of power where you have more influence over yourself, your own behaviors, and then the world, because it ripples out to others. So check that out on my website, emotionalfireacademy.com. I have free 30-minute consultations. I would love to chat with you and help you get more into that space. Thanks for watching. Have a wonderful day. Later.